All right, guys, what's going on? Happy, well, it's Monday. I didn't get State of Syslo last week because I was actually filming. I was in Aspen, Colorado, and we were delivering our content accelerator program out there, which was awesome. Aspen's a beautiful place. There's a lot of cool stuff going on out there. So this week I'm going to try to get caught back up on some of these, but really just talk about, some stuff that I saw, things that happened, weirdness that's going on. And, the first thing that I want to talk about is forethought or foresight, okay? In life, in business, in everything that you do, you would think that somebody could have the capacity for a little bit of forethought. And when I say that, it's like you don't just robotically do a job. You don't just robotically do something. You don't just take something and just run with it. You look at it from the perspective of, could I improve this? Maybe there's something that wasn't caught here that we could look at, that we could potentially fix, that we could adjust, that we could work with. And you'd be surprised how many people don't do this. And this is a problem. The problem is the fact that somebody just does the job, but doesn't do the extra few inches, I would call it, right? It could be in advertising, it could be in video production, it could be in whatever. But nobody takes the extra mile to say, maybe we should also check this to make sure this was done correctly. You're already in there doing something, and this could be anything in life. I mean, it could be a relationship. It could be someone wants you to do something with the house or something like that, or somebody wants you to take care of something specific, but you just don't go the extra few inches. And when you don't go the extra few inches, those extra few inches is the difference between mediocre and lazy and above average and excellence. And so for me, when I used to think, and this isn't even about being perfect or having perfection, all I'm talking about is, can someone take the extra few inches or the extra time to say, hey, I said that project was done and I delivered it to you, but I didn't check this one extra thing, but you found it, and now I'm upset because you found it. Well, lo and behold, that's your fault. That's your problem. And I see this everywhere in life. I see it in friendships. I see it in emails. I see it in advertising. I see it in business. I see it in deliverables. Just not going the extra few inches and asking yourself, is that right? Is this something that's supposed to be here? Could I do something maybe? Could I do something maybe a little bit different to get the job fully done and maybe ease the workload on somebody else that has a lot of workload? People today, I think, are just too complacent, and they're too, I hate to say it, man, I just think it's laziness. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to sit down and do the extra study. They're bored. They have no ambitions, and this isn't everyone. And if you're not one of these people, then fine. But I see it, and it drives me nuts, because that is the difference between excellence and being amazing. And that is all it is just I took an extra second or an extra 5 minutes to study something, or an extra few minutes to say, this could have been handled a little bit better, or maybe we could have approached this in a different way, or I found this and I fixed it. What's wrong with doing that? What's wrong with doing the extra thing? What's wrong with, I saw that the dishwasher needed to be emptied, but I didn't do it. Why? You're there, you opened it, what's wrong with you? Or I saw that these pictures shouldn't have been in this folder, but I left it there because I wanted to get it done and go on with my day. But then I'm going to have to get scolded by my boss later on because I did something they didn't like. This lack of forethought, or this lack of foresight, or this lack of potentiality, or I would say blatant ignorance of potentiality is totally wrong. And that is the difference between people who make a lot of money and the people who don't. the people who don't work out and take care of themselves and get what they want in their life. That's all it is. People who are willing to look at, and when I say look, I mean actually sit down, analyze, see it for what it is, and say, is that the way it's supposed to be? Is that supposed to be like this? Is this the most optimal way that this thing that I'm doing should be? And asking that question and then taking it a step further and being like, could I do something about this? Can I do something about that campaign that could be better? Maybe it's not performing the best. What else could I do with it instead of just being like, well, let's wait. Wait for what? What are you waiting for? Oh, let's wait and see what happens. It's like, what exactly is going to happen? What exactly is going to be improved by your waiting? What exactly are you actually doing to other people when you don't take an extra micromillimeter of action? Your micromillimeter of action could be the difference between an extremely pleasant customer experience, an extremely pleasant relationship, an extremely pleasant friendship, and destruction and issues. You know, my wife and I went out to eat at Sexy Fish down in Miami. I didn't go because I heard people say that it wasn't that good, but she wanted to go, so we went. And from the moment we walked in, that experience was exceptional. The woman at the front, beautiful, pleasant, well-mannered, greeted us, walked us to the table. I walked into this very, elegant location, a little loud as far as colors and stuff, but I like that. And then we sat down and we ordered our food, we started eating, a little cramped table space. But the whole time, I was like, man, they're really doing a good job here. And I started looking around the room. And I'm looking around the room, and the floor was divided into, I think, 5 different sections. And there were 5 guys, 5 people, I think 2 of them were women. And all they did was patrol the section in addition to the waiters and waitresses. And I turned to my wife and I said, do you know what the job is of those guys? And she's like, what? I said, their job is to watch everyone's faces. Their job is to look at every table every 2 seconds to see if something is needed. If needed, more water, more drink. If a drink is empty, does somebody need to have their plate cleared? What is it? And they're watching. And they're looking. And they're handling. It happened to us. We finished. One of those guys came over, took our plates, got the waiter, came back all the way through. And then we ended off with a nice espresso. It was for my wife's birthday. And I told my wife, and we had espresso. And I was like, wow, they could have ruined this whole experience if they served us bad espresso. But they didn't, because they did the extra step. They did the extra mile. Not even a mile, like a few feet. But those extra few feet was done at every step of the experience. And what that did for me was say, wow, this is a great experience. I totally, my viewpoint on Sexy Fish is not what I thought it was going to be. And you need to think about that for your business, or you need to think about that for your relationships. You need to think about that from your service standpoint. Did we go the extra few feet every step along the way? Or didn't we? Did we cut a corner? Cutting a corner has a new meaning for me. It just means laziness. And that I didn't go the extra step to just check something. And it's not like that takes a long time. It's not like it kills you. I remember when I started doing the Content Accelerator program in my company, I would fly on the weekends. Prior to that, I would work all week, and then I'd hang out, and we'd go to the beach, or we'd, surf, or we would watch Netflix or something. And I started thinking about my time, and I was like, okay, I flew to Dallas, that was 2.5 hours. I did a film shoot, that's 4 hours, and I flew home, that's 2.5 hours. So I was gone a total of 12 hours. Whereas if I was an average person, I would wake up on a Saturday, maybe play some video games, watch TV, watch Netflix, and then before I know it, it's 8 o'clock, maybe go to the gym. And I'm just reallocating what I'm doing with my time. So go the extra mile for yourself as well. Go the extra mile for your time. What are you doing with your time? I've seen situations where somebody adds so much time to a cycle instead of just being like, how can we finish this cycle like super fast? I still jump in. I have a whole team. I got a whole group of people that I work with. And from time to time, I'll still jump in and just do the job myself because it's faster if I do it, right? Now, could I scale that way? Probably not. But if I have a free moment, I'm going to help the team, right? Or excuse me, if I have a free moment, I could improve a system. I could improve a process because I have foresight. I have prediction. I've done so many sales calls. I've done so many client meetings. I know when a client's going to get upset. I know what they're going to respond with. And I do what I call preventative measures because I go the extra mile. I go the extra few. It's not even a mile. I keep saying a mile because it's the cliche saying. But it's literally just go the extra few feet. Because those extra few feet incredibly make a huge difference for anyone on the receiving end of that. And when you're working with somebody that won't go the extra few feet, if you're in a relationship with somebody that won't go the extra few millimeters, if you're like, don't even tolerate it. Call them out on it. Be like, you were there. Why didn't you just do this? And if they're responsible, ethical people, they'll just turn around and say, all right, no problem. Well, I'll fix that. It won't be an issue going forward. Or they won't be responsible, ethical people, and you have to get rid of them. Break up with them. Fire them. Or train them. Whatever you want to do with it. But for me, the biggest thing that I saw was just like, who is going to go the extra few feet? I've had disgruntled clients in the past where even though they were mad, and I understood why they were mad, I still was like, I will go the extra few feet. I'm extending myself. Whether you receive this, whether you accept that I'm willing to work with you, that's totally on you. As long as I'm willing to go the extra few feet with you, you've got to give me the benefit of the doubt. Because I could be one of those people that don't want to do it. But if you're totally unruly, making things up, not making sense, I'm not going to do business with you, or I'm not going to be in a relationship with you. It's just, I have to have my own protection of that, which I talked about in another episode. We're not going to get into that, but having forethought, having foresight, having just a little bit of awareness, not even a lot, to be like, oh, well, maybe I could just go the extra mile. We built a landing page for one of our clients. They're launching a new version of their program, and I noticed that the person who built the page left an old lead generation form in there. I saw it this morning and I was just like, hey, can you get me a new code from my other guy? I said, give me the code, I'll put the form in, I'll put the custom code in there, and we'll get it done. We did it, I just did it. It took 3 minutes. If I was waiting and the client caught it, terrible idea. You don't want your clients to catch those things. You want to be on top of those things. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with you going the extra mile to just come out of the ivory tower a little bit and just say, man, you know what? I think we could do a better job here. But the people that don't go the extra few feet drive me nuts. It's bad news. These people will never achieve anything of value in their life. These people will have problems all the time, and they don't understand where the problems are coming from because they don't look at the whole picture. They only look at what's right in front of them, instead of looking at what's right in front of them and looking outside of that and being like, does all the components outside of this line up to this, and vice versa? Does it go both ways? Is the YouTube channel fully set up with all the social media links, with all the right tags, with all the right descriptions? Is there a bio? Little things add up to big wins. Little things that absolutely nobody wants to do, handle, touch, work with, whatever. That is the secret to success. Yes, big actions, big deals, but you get big deals because the little, micro, tiny, annoying things, foundational elements, are what's going to get you to the big levels of success. I spent, at the beginning, halfway through this month, I trained on Meta again. I went into advertising mode and I was like, I got to figure this out. This is driving me crazy. The leads aren't coming in. Nobody on the team wanted to look at it because they knew how big of a job it was going to be. But the micromillimeter adjustment that needed to be made, nobody wanted to do. Nobody wanted to find it. I found it, and I did it because nobody else did. And when I did it, it made so much sense. And you know what? The amount of leads I've gotten, the quality of the leads I've gotten, the quality of the people that I talked to, the people that I sold. If I told you the ROAS on my ads right now, you wouldn't believe me. You wouldn't believe me. But I can tell you, I only spent $1,500 and I made in the upper 5 figures off that within 7 days. Upper 5 figures, not middle 5 figures, upper, almost the 6. Why? Because I had forethought. I looked at Facebook and I said, this is a machine. The machine was written by a human. The human told the machine, do this if you get this. And understanding that viewpoint, I was like, if I give the machine what it wants, it will give me what I want. It's got to be that simple. There is no magic bullet. There is no silver thing. There is no thing out there that somebody's got this secret code to make this work. It's a machine. And the machine responds to certain things programmed by a human. AI is not a sentient living thing. Somebody had the forethought to say, could we speed up our processes? And if I do that, can the system do it? And the answer was, of course, yes. All the silly marketers out there that are trying to convince you that AI is this thing, it's a computer program that enhances systems, is really what it is. And if we're going to call AI that, then my Mac Studio is AI. My iPhone is AI, and it's not. So we're using the wrong definition, but nobody's going to talk about that because that kills the market value of it. Why not just call it software? But it's not as sexy as AI or mysterious as AI, because AI implies mystery, doesn't it? Oh, the AI. And we think of iRobot, or what's the movie Steven Spielberg did with the robots? I forget the name of it. Oh my God, what was the name of that movie? Jude Law's in it. Oh yeah, it's AI. It's called artificial intelligence. And we have that viewpoint because we were indoctrinated into AI that way. This, what we're dealing with, is not AI. This is just something else. But again, somebody had forethought. Somebody had a vision. Somebody had an idea, and they ran with it. And they looked at the current environment, and they were like, what things could we improve here using a better software system? What things could we do to improve the condition of humanity? Cool thought, cool process. But again, going back to the Facebook ads, nobody wanted to look. Sales, nobody wants to look. Why did that deal fall apart? Nobody wants to look. Why did that customer not call me back? Nobody wants to look. Why did the girl break up with me? You don't want to look and admit to yourself, maybe you were rude, or maybe you didn't follow through, or maybe. You know. And you know what the worst part about all this is? Here's the worst part about this for everybody. People that don't look already know that they're supposed to look, and they already know what they're supposed to look at. They're just tricking themselves to not look at it. I don't know how I get away with it, but even as someone who is broken up with, they try to get mad and they blame the other person. This person's bad, men are bad. I guarantee you, they already know what they did wrong. They already know what they should have done, but they don't have the balls. They don't have the balls to turn around and say, yeah, I messed that up. Instead of doing that, because they'd have to admit that they were wrong, and they can't admit that they're wrong because it means they're going to die, they're going to self-destruct all over everybody else and ruin the idea for them. Or in business, somebody gets angry at you and you admit that they're wrong and they're still angry. Now it's on them. They're not willing to look at the fact that you said, you're right, I messed that up and I'm willing to work on it. Here's my solution. If they don't accept the solution, then that's on them. It's not on you. You tried to do everything you could. You tried to give them everything you possibly could to make that work for them. But you're going the extra foot, you're going the extra millimeter, you're going the extra few inches. And those extra few inches are really the difference between why people work with you and why they don't, why people come back and why they don't, why a deal closes and why it doesn't, why you stay in a long-term relationship versus bouncing around all the time, why you blame women for your problems, why you blame men for your problems. All of those things is because at some point somewhere you didn't go the extra few feet. And you didn't confront and handle what you know you should have confronted and handled. And by confront, I mean look at. You just, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have gone out drinking with my buddies late that night when I told my wife I was going to be home. Or maybe I shouldn't have, overpromised on something that I couldn't deliver on. I don't know what it is for you. But I can tell you that if you ever wondered why you have a lot of problems, it's because you didn't look at certain things. And you didn't handle those certain things appropriately. And those things came back and they bit you right in the cojones. And you're paying the price for it. And because you can't even admit that you didn't do that you didn't even stop to take a look, you're going to try to blame everybody else. But going that extra few feet, not even the mile, the extra few feet, the extra few inches, the extra few pieces of that will be the difference between you and someone else, between a long-term business partnership, a short-term business partnership, a failed business partnership, whatever that is. And I find it just funny how people will literally turn around and they start blaming everybody else around them. They blame everybody else around them for their own inability to do what I'm talking about. And that's what I noticed. The other thing is that provides a solid foundation for growth. We onboarded a new client this week, and this guy's got 6 businesses between the United States and Dubai. And he is like, all I worry about are the little things nobody wants to check. I build my entire business around that. I build the entire outcome around that experience. I build the entire outcome out of that entire willingness to just set the right foundation from the beginning and nothing else. And that really got me thinking. I was like, this is where I have been living for months, for years, for days, trying to sort out, wow, what's the thing? And it was when I found it in my own company, it was a series of small little things that just stacked up. And the debt that I owed on those small things stacked up to a huge pile of, I need to fix this right now. This is out of control and I need to do it. Whatever, I'll get that after. I need to do it and I need to fix it. And that became the whole situation, right? Why? Because for whatever reason in that moment, guilty as charged, wasn't willing to look at something. And then I had to pay the price for it, and then I had to go back and fix it. Now I'm just always looking, always fixing. Like I let my diet go a little bit. I let my workout schedule go a little bit. And I went back to the gym and I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. My fault. I can't blame anybody. I made a decision and the decision led to an outcome. And that's what happened. So for you, when you're thinking about this, you have to look at it from that perspective of like, oh man, that didn't really work out the way that I thought it was going to work out. I need to really have the forethought and the foresight to really just go that extra millimeter, that extra mile. Otherwise, it's just not worth it. Anyway, so that's the State of Syslo today. I hope it helps you guys. We'll see you next week as I do another episode to keep these things rolling for you, okay? Subscribe, like, talk soon.